It's lowering the front of the car down right now.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Ready? Here we go.
Okay.
Oh! Oh, jeez!
Hey everyone, meetkevin here. In this video, you are going to get a complete review of the Tesla Model S Plaid. I think this video is important to watch whether you are a shareholder of Tesla or you're interested in potentially becoming a Tesla owner. I'm going to show you and tell you some things that might not be the most bullish about Tesla, but I'm also going to tell you things that I think are very bullish for Tesla. So in my opinion, you're going to get a very non-biased review in this video. Even though I'm a Tesla shareholder, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to tell you why I think Tesla is able to increase their margins the way they are, because I think they're cutting some corners. Let's get into the review of the video. Keep in mind that I have had this Tesla since December 10th. It was an early Christmas present to myself. It is a butter purchase, which means it melts away in value. It is not an investment purchase, but I did it. I did give my Tesla Model X, which is a 2017 model, which I'll be making some comparisons between. I did give that to my father, who is absolutely in love. And now I can say my dad rides my black X. So Dad,
Super.
you like the X? Tell me about it.
It's nice.
But there are some things that this car has that the X didn't have, and there are some things that this doesn't have that the X did have. Kind of bugs me since I just paid over $148,000 for this car. The first of which sounds a little first world problem-ish, but the frunk is substantially smaller on this. Now it makes sense because this is a smaller car, or so it seemed, because this car actually, I'm pretty sure, and we'll put up the stats, is longer than the Model X. But because it's not as tall, the frunk is relatively small. On the Model X, you have a much deeper frunk, which I much prefer. I have a lot of stuff that I could put in the front. Can't put that much into here. Somebody could definitely crawl in, like fully crawl into the frunk, not that anybody ever would, of the other one, and you could close it comfortably. This, not happening. So it is what it is. It's a sedan. I get it. Maybe I'm being overly critical with that. One thing that the X had that was really annoying was when I went to close this with one hand, it wasn't possible. I'd either have to sit on it, which is a bad idea because then your pants could scrape up your hood, or you'd have to use two hands to close it. I'm going to try to one hand close this one. That's good. So they fixed that on the Model S, so that's good. Because this, if you have an older X, you know this was a big annoyance, and it was mostly something I think that Tesla just kind of failed to think about, that you should be able to close your frunk with one hand. Something that I did notice as well about the Model S is I pulled this up to a garage and I opened the back, and the Model X is really good about having sensors that know if you're going to hit something. I don't believe this has sensors if you're going to hit something. So the Model X, if you went to open the Falcon wings or the back, it would know if something was above you and it would not open just from whatever sensors it had. I don't believe this has that. I'm just going to kind of be here and yeah, no. Absolutely not. So if you park too close to a garage or something, this would definitely cause some damage to your back door. Now, in my opinion, and I've left the trunk kind of a mess, but that's okay, I just threw some things in here. We'll talk about the trunk in just a moment. In my opinion, that is something that a premium luxury car like this in 2021 should have. The back trunk shouldn't be able to smash into something without sensors stopping you. Now, obviously, the trunk is going to be a little bit smaller than the Model X. You don't have that same height that you do on the Model X, but again, makes sense. It's a sedan. Now, with the Model X, if you had all 7 seats out, you'd have less space in this trunk. The Model X was basically a non-functional trunk vehicle if you were using all 7 seats. This has a lot of nice space, and one thing, if you come a little closer, that's really nice here, is that this is pretty flimsy. So if you set heavy things on here, like in real estate, I used to set tile on here, you want a good support under this. This is pretty flimsy, so I don't love that, but one thing that is nice is look at this frame all the way around right here. That's actually quite valuable, because if you put this down, you want it to be able to support that weight, or if you have little kids that go back here, that's a good thing. The original Model X, all it had were these 2 little plastic pieces that stuck out like this to hold the whole shelf. And that was really stupid, because that actually broke and then I had to get it fixed. You do have a lot of little other nooks and crannies over here, nook over here. You've got a lot of another, I don't know what you would even call that, a little nook over there, although it kind of looks like, no, yeah, you could put whatever you want over there and cover it up with this little side panel here. So that's neat. This is kind of odd. This I don't love. You know, I just noticed this, but it's for what it is. If you come in a little closer here, for a $148,000 card, this shouldn't be unfinished like this, especially since if I peel this back, it's really just the body of the cars down here, and you could see some insulated foam. If you come a little, maybe stand up and come a little closer here, you can get a good peek in here. That's weird that it's like this. I mean, whatever. Nobody sees it. It's under here, but a little bit of that kind of classic Tesla fit and finish. Nah, it's okay. I imagine this has an auto stop if it hits on the way down. It does. Okay, but that's normal. You would expect that. Carbon fiber here, probably shouldn't try to close it from this. I don't want to cause damage to that, so we'll close this. Now, if you come close to this right here, when I go to unlock the car, that motor sounds pained. I don't know how long the servo in here is actually going to last when it's already making sound like that. Listen to this closely. I'm going to put my mic a little closer to it. I'm going to lock it here. Not so bad on the lock, but when I open this, it sounds pained. Now I like it, it's nice. One thing that you don't have on this though is the option to have self-presenting doors, and that was on the upper end model of the Model X. The doors would actually open, the handles would self-present, and the doors could open automatically for you when you walked up to the driver door, which was awesome. This sounds really first world, but having driven a Model X and having the pleasure and almost the luxury of getting in the car, stepping on the brake, and then having the door close on me is something that I've gotten really, really used to. And I know it sounds extremely first world, but it's odd because every time I get in this car, I step on the brake and I'm like, ah, that's right. I just spent 148 grand to do this. And again, super, super first world and probably highly unrelatable unless you have a Model X. But I'm just thinking to myself, why did a car 4 years ago have that and then this one doesn't? So it makes me wonder, like, is this how Tesla's getting the margins up? Are they cutting out on sensors in certain places, like the back opener? Are they cutting out on the feature of having a self-closing door? Bothers me a little. Now, inside, something I love, this feels really nice. The leather is incredible.
Seats are really nice, nice. Quality, it's 80% better.
I had the white leather last time. This feels a lot more luxury. I don't know if it's the finish or the trim or what it is they did. It just gives you more of a luxurious feel. Maybe it's the sort of the breathability of the leather here or whatever it is. This feels a lot better than what the Model X had. So definite improvement there. Now, this one, I gotta say, I've got some beef with the steering wheel. And I love innovations, but this one bothers me. First of all, you're driving, you're in a panic. Oh crap, someone's cutting me off. Nothing happens. Why? Because in a panic, someone cuts you off. You want to honk? You got to somehow move your thumb over here, which your thumb ain't going to reach because you got to push that button. Like, I ain't got time for that in an emergency. And the fact that that does not work is a safety problem, in my opinion. That is not good. This should work as well as that button if you want, but have both. Don't love that at all. The horn should function as an emergency intuitive feature, and it doesn't. And for it not to function in this, weird. Another thing, the turn signals, I know in the future when we have autopilot, all this stuff is going to be auto. Weird. The left and right here. But this is something to get used to. I can get used to the turn signals being right here. I will say what I do like is when I set the turn signal and then I'm on the highway or whatever and I change lanes, as soon as I'm done changing lanes, it automatically turns the turn signal off. See, like in the BMWs, if you would set the turn signal like halfway, it would just blink 3 times and assume you were done with the blinker after that, or you had to set it all the way and manually turn it off. This will turn it off once it senses that you've actually made your turn or changed lanes. Love that. That's a great feature. Now, in terms of driving, this is probably best suited for when you're actually driving. So let's give it a shot and I'll show you where my frustrations are. Before I show you the turning issue with this, let me also mention that I do think this is not as intuitive as it could be. If I want to go forward, I seem to always get this backwards. So I want it to go forward, and I kind of feel like I should pull it back to go forward. And I have my stuff on the floor there. I'll pick that up in a little bit. But you actually have to push the little icon forward, which it makes sense. It makes sense. Something else to get used to. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I keep wanting to pull it back to go forward. I don't know why. But anyway, let's go. And this is where I kind of noticed my first annoyance is driving slow with this yoke. This is weird. Like I never want my arms to cross. This, in my opinion, is very dangerous. So like with a circular steering wheel, you could slide your hands around, but you can't really do that because it's a weird pretzel on this end and there's nothing to grab onto on this end. So I find myself kind of doing this, but then I'm also restricted with my range of motion. So in slow driving, this is weird. So if I go to make a left turn over here, what I found the best thing to do is palm this yoke right here, and then I can kind of get back to my original turn. And I still try to slide, but notice how my hand fell off there on the slide. I usually like my hand to stay having contact on the wheel while I while that turn finishes. That's something that I've just grown up with driving. So we'll do it again here. We'll do a left turn here. And again, I palm it and I really have to kind of stay with it, which is just weird. It's just another step to get used to. That's okay. That didn't seem that bad because again, it's just something that you have to get used to. But there are definitely at slower speeds times where it's like, wow, this is bizarre. Now, for driving faster, this is amazing. So if you're going to launch this, you go into cheetah mode and you're gonna launch this, or you're just in autopilot, great. But again, if I go to let go here, there's nothing, and all of a sudden you're off the wheel. Kind of weird. Again, something probably just to get used to, but for autopilot driving, you get maximum visibility with this half wheel here. And I think that's really what the car is designed for, is that eventually you're just not going to have to touch this with the exception of the little wobbles here. Now, one thing I was worried about upgrading to a newer Tesla was that because they have the in-cabin camera, I was a little nervous that privacy-wise, I just was gonna get a million more notifications about touch the wheel more often because I'm looking off into the distance or I'm changing the song or whatever. I timed the notifications because this does have an in-cabin camera, and I set it on autopilot on the highway, and I timed that it would generally ask me to wiggle the wheel every about, on average, 35 seconds. Sometimes it would go as long as 59 seconds without having me to wobble the wheel, but that was only when I was staring at the road with my eyes open. Like this, just bluntly staring at the road, which generally people don't do. But if you're blinking, if you're looking around, you're gonna expect to wobble this wheel, yoke, whatever, every so about 30, 35 seconds. And I found that that was true whether you were just looking at music, or I'm just gonna say it, if you're looking at your phone, testing purposes, if you were kind of just doing this even just for giggles, it still had about that 35 second cooldown in terms of when it would ask you to wobble the wheel. And that was on a highway with autopilot on. Now, another thing is if you're one-handed driving with your right hand, good luck setting the blinker. You're gonna have to get your left hand up here and a single hand drive with your left hand, which I suppose isn't that big of a deal depending on how you're used to driving. In the meantime though, something that I do really like is I love that you've got these built-in contact chargers right here. So you just plop your phone in here or here and your phone's charged in the spot. This is also pretty cool, is this little thing. You can kind of just pull this back and it opens up this whole segment. Your cup holders here, your little tray that you've got here. Something where you could probably hide things which nobody knows. Look at that. It goes down even deeper into this black, and this goes down deep. I mean, you could definitely put 2 or 3 handguns in there and nobody would know. Not that I have any. Oh look, I didn't even know this. The cup holder goes back. Oh, that's incredible. Oh, and you have USB-C plugs down here and a cigarette lighter. That is incredible. I did not even know those were under the cup holder. 2 USB-C plugs. That's pretty cool. See, even I just discovered that. This also opens up to another little compartment that you've got over here. So I love everything about the inside. I'm very minimalist, great. One thing that does bother me is the whole, like, when you opt in for the self-driving beta, you will end up having nightmares about your safety score. I woke up at 2 a.m. yesterday and swear I saw my safety score was like 70, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? And I was up for an hour sweating about, oh my gosh, what's my safety score? And every time I would look at my phone, I didn't have a safety score yet. So I've had the car for 4 days now, And still no safety score. Now, in fairness, I did opt in late on when I turned on my safety score, so it's probably been about 48 hours-ish that I've been opted in on the safety score. Still no score. I hear rumors that you have to drive at least 500 miles. I don't know when I'm actually going to get to 500 miles. Kind of inconvenient because I want to experience the full self-driving beta as soon as possible, which is actually one of the reasons I got this car, because the Model X would need a camera hardware upgrade in addition to the chip hardware upgrade, which I had already gotten. But the camera hardware upgrade is not available yet. Kind of frustrating, but I want to be, and I want to see what the cutting edge of technology is, and I can't yet. Now, I want to be clear about this. I paid $10,000 for full self-driving. Now, you have to get invited to the full self-driving beta, but you can only get invited to the full self-driving beta once you have a safety score that is relatively close to 100. So like 100, 99, 98, 97, I believe. I'm not sure if they're doing 97s yet. They invite you to full self-driving for the beta over time. But in order to even potentially be eligible for the beta, you have to get a safety score. I've spoken to many people who have given me troubleshooting tips like reinstall the apps, make sure you're updated, make sure you're close to Wi-Fi, try a different phone. I have used every method possible. I have taken this car to Tesla service, and Tesla service literally just told me, quote, be patient. I will put up on screen their service letter saying nothing's wrong, just be patient. And I hate to say it, but folks, I am coming up on 1 month of owning this vehicle. We are at 29 days of owning this vehicle, and I still do not have a safety score with about 500 miles on the car. It's really frustrating because I bought this car because I wanted to do videos showing off the self-driving of this car. So I spent $148,000 excited to just potentially get invited to the full self-driving beta. I'm not asking to skip anyone in line. I'm just asking the car to even give me a chance to get in line. It's kind of like everybody's in line for the full self-driving beta, and I try to get in line, and there's a security guard going, no, 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 you're not allowed in the line. Like, I'm not even allowed to get in the line because this is what I get. I kid you not, it has been 29 days, and this is what I have. So I will say, extremely frustrating. So if you're getting this car and you're gonna pay the $10,000 for the full self-driving beta and you think you're definitely gonna be able to get in line, hold your breath, okay? You might not. You might never be able to get in, which is extremely frustrating. And nobody at Tesla actually gives a crap about helping you, because I called in, they said, sorry, nothing we can do, just wait. The service center, sorry, nothing we can do, just wait. This is clearly a bug when other people are getting a safety score within 24 hours of owning the car, and it literally says the safety score will be available after your first trip, but it's not. I have to say, I'm pissed off. I'm really upset about Tesla with this. Now, I will say, as a Tesla investor, honestly, this means there's still so much improvement for Tesla. And I've always said that once Tesla deals with all of the problems they have, I'm not going to invest in Tesla anymore, because that means we've probably reached peak potential. So as an investor, I actually like sometimes that Tesla still has problems, because it means we're going to have lower adoption. We're not going to get to that mass adoption just yet. And that's okay, because there's enough Tesla demand right now to maximize production at Tesla factories. But when we get 2 years down the road, these problems better be fixed, because then Tesla's going to have more gigafactory capacity, and we're going to need those perfection buyers, the Mercedes and the BMW buyers who are like, I want it perfect. I want the horn to work. I don't want to have to move my finger to press the horn in an emergency. If I pay $10,000 for full self-driving or more in the future, I better have a safety score after my first trip, like the app says. When those people start adopting Tesla, then I think that's where Tesla becomes the max mainstream that it can go. And then that, in my opinion, is where we start getting potentially to peak style growth. Maybe that won't happen until 2025, 2030. So ironically, the more of these little annoyances I have, the more it's a sign to me that Tesla still has that room for growth and improvement. Because as long as you have room for improvement, you have room for growth. So I know this is like a really twisted way of looking at it, but I will say, I'm frustrated. I'm extremely frustrated that I went from a Model X which I cannot get full self-driving in the Model X, which is a 2017 vehicle, because it doesn't have the updated cameras yet. And you can't buy the updated cameras yet, even though Elon Musk said, hey, we're coming out with the updated cameras soon. Now, I hear rumors that they're coming out with the updated cameras for the Model X, and I bought a new car to experience full self-driving, and I still can't because I don't get a safety score. So I kind of personally feel screwed. I feel like I got taken advantage of. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and nobody at Tesla can tell me if I'm doing anything wrong because I've gone through all the troubleshooting steps and I'm still not getting what I feel like I paid for. And again, I'm not asking in an entitled way to get to the front of the line. That's not what I'm asking for. I just do feel like I'm getting ripped off. Now let's talk about my experience with a launch mode or a cheetah mode. This is basically where you hold down the brake of the car, then hold the gas after putting it on drag strip mode. You could choose to wait for peak performance or not, which it shows you on screen. And then you let go of the brake and the car launches. This is where you get that about 1.9 second 0 to 60. Take a look. Oh, cheap! What the beep beep? Oh, beep! Oh my god! Now I want to say, I have tried launch mode on dry roads, bumpy roads, dusty and rocky roads, and wet roads. And I will say, the car handles amazingly in all of them, even when you're launching the vehicle. On dusty and rocky roads, you could feel some of the traction lose on some of the wheels, but the car seems to auto-correct that extremely well. The same is actually true on wet roads. When I launched this vehicle on a wet road with no other vehicles around, I could feel my back right tire about 3 times during the launch freeze up and then continue to go. I believe this is because the electronic motors are making about 1,000 adjustments per second to these tires to make sure you're maintaining traction. It's extremely difficult to spin this car. And so even in a launch mode while it was raining and launching the vehicle, I felt traction lose about 3 times. The car stopped that tire until it regained traction and then continued driving through a launch. I've also taken the car to a complete stop, turned the wheel all the way in and on wet roads in the rain, and stepped on the gas just to see if I could fishtail the car, and I was not able to. I would feel that back tire, in this case, much more frequently stop, so it kind of make this bumpy whoop, 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 whoop feeling as it was basically maintaining traction, but I could not get the car to spin, which in my opinion, phenomenal in terms of safety. Now, something I do like about the screen though is it's very responsive. So if I want to move things around, I mean, this is like an iPad. So if you've got the map here, if you want to see where the superchargers are, I can click on these. I could see that 6 stalls out of 20 are available. Now, unfortunately in my Model X, I had a lifetime supercharging for free. Here I'm going to get charged. Because it's a new vehicle and that lifetime supercharging does not carry over. I still have that X though, since my dad's driving it, so technically we still have that free supercharging in the family. But anyway, rates are posted. Obviously, they give you idle rates and peak rates at different times. But the responsiveness of this, very, very good. It's much more enjoyable than in the Model X. In the Model X, even playing games was almost impossible because of how slow the screen was. So over 4 years, they've absolutely sped this up very, very well. The sync works well, and the voice activation actually works quickly and promptly. So let's give it a shot here. We'll do a live test. Play Danger Zone. Okay, we'll do live timing in terms of how long it takes. It says playing Danger Zone. My volume might be low. Oh no, there it is. Okay. So that gives you a little bit of a real example without any speeding up in terms of how long it took for that to react. Not bad. If I did that on the Model X, it would have taken at least 5 to 6 times as long, if it even worked. Now, one thing that I did notice that was really weird and threw me off the first time was if I was playing music through the infotainment system and then I switched to my phone, let's say I want to play Iris by U2. I press play here. I can verify that we're on Tesla Model S. I could see it's playing, but it doesn't automatically transfer over. It doesn't automatically start playing. It still says, Kenny Loggins, Danger Zone here, while my time is ticking on Iris U2, Hold Me Close, right? Weird. So I feel like it should automatically take over. It took us quite a while to realize that there's actually this button right here. And if I click here, then it transitions over. So, okay, little quirk, little thing to get used to, not that big of a deal, but otherwise much more responsive infotainment, Bluetooth, and everything in the 2021 model here compared to the 2017. A lot of improvements. I will say before we go to the back of the car, in terms of self-driving, this car will change lanes substantially faster than any self-driving vehicle that I've seen before. And I actually purposefully set my self-driving to a distance of 5 seconds following another vehicle. And when it comes to changing lanes, I am a big fan of the slow modes. I believe that's under customize. Here we go. Speed-based lane changes. I have it on mild. Because I don't require a confirmation for when it changes lanes. It kind of can just do it. And even on mild, this car will cut people off and will change lanes very quickly. So it has done so safely. I have not felt unsafe in the autopilot yet on this. I do not have the self-driving autopilot yet. But I will say this is a much zippier car. Let's hit the back. What I love about the back is, first of all, we have 3 heated seats in the back, and you've got this really cool monitor in the back. Love it. You've also got the temperature control. We've got it set to 69 right now. Love this. You got the music control back here. Boom. Play that music. There we go. Love that. Gives the driver a little bit more peace to where people can just do whatever they want back here. Apparently, you can even pull up YouTube, which I have not tried to do yet, so we'll see what happens. But there are 2 USB-Cs right here, which I enjoy. Love the heated seats back here. I will say, though, if you are back here with 3 individuals, it gets tight. Oh yeah, look at that. It opens up a browser. I wouldn't necessarily say this is like an app. It feels a lot like the actual browser. Let's go ahead and type in Meet Kevin here and just see what happens. Okay, let's try Omicron, first death. Here we go. Let's play that. Oh, we're going to get our ad here. And a loud car. We'll wait for the ad to go by. We even now have a new potential first that is cool. Now, I actually like that. So people can watch YouTube back here, whether it's adults or children or whatever. If you need to change the volume or switch or whatever, look how responsive that screen is. And just drop that down there. Let's go ahead and hit that volume button here, and you can lower or increase or lower the volume back here as well. I haven't gotten really good at figuring out exactly how to do it because the volume button's not the most responsive. But I have noticed this screenplay here is very, very good. Why is that so crappy? Hold on a sec. Do you hold it? Am I doing it wrong? So I don't think I'm screwing up on the volume here, but it's not as reactive as it should be on the volume here. But I have to say, if I wanted to pop up YouTube here, you do get a little bit of this paused loading screen. Occasionally it makes you go back if you do want to change the volume. Little inconvenient because you have to swipe down to change the volume unless the driver wants to do it. And if you have to swipe down and it closes your video just to change the volume, little inconvenient. It'd be nice if there were some kind of easy way to pull up that menu without having to close my video. I'd prefer that, but
Hey, Kevin here. So obviously inflation
is
like all the rage to
don't see that opportunity just yet. Of course you could, oh wait, see if I move it a little bit, no, you see the menu pop up, but it doesn't stay long enough for you actually to do anything. Of course, you could just use the YouTube volume control, which that is actually extremely responsive. This is like an iPad. One complaint some folks have had is that this button is maybe not as intuitive, so you want to get out of the car. If you push it long, it works. It might not give you the biggest open feel here. You've got a ledge, you got to get your foot over here. You kind of have to like lift your toes in a little bit. A little tight for what it is. Some folks touch it and don't get it to open right away. If you do a short touch, it won't open, which no problem. There you go. So it's just a matter of getting used to that. Might be something the guests are a little more like, oh, how do I get out of this?
Now, another safety complaint here. Without actually having physical opportunities for you to open the door, what happens in the event of an emergency and you need to get out and the power system's malfunctioning? You have no door handle. Now you might think, oh, well, just break the window. Not as easy as you think. First of all, you got side curtain airbags. Side curtain airbags, like a big old cloth balloon now in the way. So you got to move that and try to break a window. That's not the easiest to break. Best option tends to be your elbow. You're probably going to break your elbow doing it. One of the best options could potentially be the glass above you by just leaning back and kicking the glass up above you. Probably the best way since a lot of the ceiling in the car is glass on the inside.
And then again, getting out, you're kind of biffing up the side a little bit. Not that big of a deal. mostly because I'm the driver. I did also notice that if you wanted to upgrade these calipers to red, you'd be paying about $10,000. In my opinion, not worth it. But I have to say, otherwise, the car, really impressive. I like it. I know I've listed a bunch of complaints here. Is it worth $148,000? God, no. Buy Tesla stock instead. Now, people get mad at me when I say that because they're like, dude, how could you recommend people buy stock but then not buy the car? Like, that would bankrupt the company. People are going to buy the car anyway. They're not going to listen to me. I mean, if you're watching this video, there's a chance you want to buy the car, or you just really like Tesla and the car company, which is fine. And look, as a Tesla bull, I tell people, buy the stock, not the car. Here I am. I bought it. This is butter. Butter melts away. This is not an investment. But hey, if this can make me appreciate where Tesla's going more, and I can start understanding, okay, where are we cutting from margin, or where are we cutting from the car to try to improve the company's margin, like we mentioned, the back hatch, the doors self-presenting and self-closing. Some of these things, they make me just understand a little bit more, okay, now I see how they're getting away with increasing their profits and potentially taking away some features. Are those going to alienate customers in the future? What they've done? Probably not. Minor nuisances and annoyances? Sure. Would they prevent me from buying this car? Like, if somebody told me those things up front, would I not buy this car? No, because it's fun as anything. The cheetah mode is crazy. It's a fun experience. It's going to give me an opportunity to get into the full self-driving beta. Sure, I could have gotten into that, though, getting a Model 3 or Y. So again, is this worth it versus like a 3 or Y? Probably not. The 3s and Ys I've driven, the new models, phenomenal. Really tight steering. You really feel like the car is well put together at higher speeds. You didn't feel that. You didn't have that in 2017 Model X's. They felt a lot shakier and looser. In fact, I'll say it. I have taken this car, the fastest I've ever taken a car, which was previously a record held by a Mercedes SL, an old one from the 90s, on the Autobahn in Germany, totally legal. That was about 137 miles an hour. And I had death grip on the steering wheel, and I felt like the car was, like the bolts were gonna start coming off because everything was shaking. Older car. This vehicle, I have taken 140 miles an hour. I didn't even realize I was going any faster than 90. That is scary. It feels very well put together, especially at high speeds. And that yoke, delicious at those higher speeds. Don't recommend driving that fast because it's very dangerous. But if you're gonna do it, this is definitely a car I would say you'd wanna be the one to do it in, or is the car that you'd wanna do it in. Anyway, if you found this review helpful, consider sharing the video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And folks, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.